headlines of the day. So, obviously, Colin, we spend Sundays together doing the kickoff shows. Some NFL news. Colts announced Frank Reich, the former offensive coordinator for the Eagles, Super Bowl champs, as their new head coach. This obviously comes on the heels of the whole Josh McDaniels withdrawal. He gave the verbal agreement, decided to stay in New England after all. Reich, no stranger to the NFL, journeyman. As a player, played with the Lions, played with the Bills. We know he was Peyton Manning's quarterback coach with the Colts, so no stranger there to that organization.
2 years ago, Carissa, 2 years ago, a bunch of, through the years you accumulate sources and people started mentioning Frank Reich to me all the time. They're like, I'd ask, like, who's the next guy? And they would say Sean McVay and Frank, because everybody knew Kyle Shanahan was going to get a job because of his dad, Mike. Frank Reich was one of the two people everybody and I'm like, oh, you mean the old Buffalo Bill quarterback?
Right.
And they're
like, back up to Jim Kelly.
For years. I was like, oh, yeah, he could play. And they're like, no. He's going to be a great head coach. So,
been around for a long time.
Yeah, plus Andrew Luck now goes from Chuck Pagano, who's a defensive guy. He gets, like most of the young quarterbacks that are succeeding, have an offensive head coach.
Yeah, he was Phillip Rivers' quarterback coach, and as I mentioned, Peyton Manning when he was with the Colts for his previous stint there. So if you're a Colts fan, you should be very excited about this hire. There was some jokes, obviously, with the McDaniels withdrawal, now having Reich be announced like they wanted proof. Like, let me actually see if this guy is the head coach. So to Jim Irsay's credit, he had some fun with his new head coach, posing a picture. I'm not really sure what Irsay is doing with his, I don't know.
I'm never quite sure what Irsay's doing.
That in general. So they took to Twitter with the headlines of the Sunday Star right there. Do you think that's obviously we like it for
I like it. It's a good
them.
hire. I think he's first of all, he's got gray hair. So he's been around the league a while, and he's a former quarterback.
That's how you measure a good coach?
Like everybody wants to hire the young guy, but by and large in this league, 45, 50, 55-year-old guys, he's got a little gray hair, played in the league, offensive guy, smart guy. My sources say he's really bright, and the other thing, he's dealt with Jim Kelly and Peyton Manning, so Frank's dealt with egos. He's dealt with star quarterbacks. Like, he's going to get the temperature of the room with Andrew. He's not going to be intimidated by Andrew Luck.
Well, yeah, and then obviously coming off the heels of what he's been able to do with Carson Wentz and Nick Foles, I mean, he definitely has the resume to support that. I want to go back to the hair for a second. I really like that you let your hair go back to salt and pepper. I don't know what you were doing for a while.
Neither do I.
But, yeah, I mean, we all know how many hair changes I have. I go from looking like, a boy to a girl in about 24 hours, so I shouldn't say anything regarding that. Okay, next headline, Paul Pierce. Halftime of yesterday's big game had his jersey retired, the number 34, now hanging in the rafters. He's the 22nd Boston Celtic to have his number retired.
All right.
And played 15 seasons in Boston, won a championship with them. There was a tribute video, as they do, for all these different guys that are retired or get their number retired. And Kobe and Magic actually did a little tribute to him. This was his reaction to that. Take a listen.
I didn't expect that at all, especially coming from rivals. And it's just like, it just helps me realize the impact that I was able to have and the respect, I think, that I was given throughout the course of my career. People know when I came into the gym, they had to be ready also. And for them to just, give the praise they gave, that means a lot, because Magic Johnson was my idol, and Kobe Bryant was my rival. It means a lot.
I always loved Paul Pierce as a player because it's funny about Paul. He wasn't the most vertical guy. He wasn't the best pure shooter. He didn't have the best NBA body. But like some guys walk into the gym and they're just
workers.
And he's a grinder. And and the other thing, Chris, is the way it works in the NBA, we generally can, like Steph Curry's an outlier where you're like, nobody saw stardom from Steph Curry. But I remember Paul Pierce playing at Kansas. And I'm like, really good player.
Highly touted, yeah.
But I'm like, he'll be the fourth best player on a roster because he didn't blow you away with his athletic. And then he wasn't a pure shooter. But I mean, you can see certain guys in the NBA. You can see their work ethic. Like, there's a lot. Derrick Rose, to me, natural skills coming out of college, I'm like, oh my God. Paul Pierce, natural skills coming out of college, you're like, he'll be a fourth best player on an NBA team. And he's a Hall of Famer.
So 15 seasons in Boston. Where do you rank him as a Celtic?
Well, he's not Bill Russell, and he's not Larry Bird, but you could somewhere between 3 and 7. He's in that. Listen, what he did in the finals against the Lakers and Kobe when he was like MVP of the finals, like he's not Russell, obviously, who's the best defensive center ever, and Larry Bird was kind of pre-LeBron, a 6'10 guy who could shoot and pass. But John Havlicek, I'm really aging myself, was a great player. He's more like Havlicek. He can do a lot of things well.
Okay, well, according to Robert Parish, he's the greatest offensive player ever for the Celtics. Take a listen.
I just feel like Paul was more creative. He was a better scorer than, say, Larry or John Havlicek. I think Havlicek and Larry and Paul were probably the best offensive players that the Celtics ever had. And I think Paul topped that list, in my opinion.
Yeah, Bird's the best scorer ever. Bird, let's be honest.
Are we going to have a resounding laughter after that, with all due respect to Paul Pierce? But
but I like him a lot, and he does a nice job as a broadcaster. He's a guy I like to root for, Paul Pierce, because I think he really worked his way.
100%, but you can't put him as the best offensive Celtic of all time.
No, people forget, Krista. We live in the moment. People forget how great Larry Bird was. If you go back and Google,
do they?
Oh God, yeah. If you go back and Google the articles when Larry Bird came into the league, like the top Jackie McMullen and all the great, like the people that were writing in the NBA at a national level, what they're saying about Bird is what they said about LeBron. Oh God, we've never seen anything like this. He was 6'10" and the best shooter in the league. Guys like Dirk Nowitzki, we see him all the time now. Kevin Durant. There was no Larry. 6'10" guys rebounded. You wouldn't dare put them at the free throw line. They couldn't shoot. There you go. Are you done?
That's it. That's all I got.
Carissa Thompson with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.